Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid. But today, ladies and gentlemen, is the 28th of May 2025. 28th of May has had a very important significance for people in Pakistan because today is celebrated as Youm-e-Takbeer all across Pakistan, because we remember the nuclear tests that were conducted by Pakistan on this very day in 1998. And of course, the fact is that Pakistan, through these tests that were made in 1998, became the 7th nuclear power of the world, and secondly the first Muslim state having nuclear arsenal in its defense stockpile. This is this was and continues to be a moment of immense pride for Pakistan and for those who support us, those who've been by our side in the good and the bad. And we've seen today also, of course, there were so many good important messages that were given by our President, by our Prime Minister, by our Joint Chiefs of Army Staff and our Army Chiefs and other chiefs as well as our Information Minister. There were so many rallies that were taken out all across Pakistan, including our federal capital Islamabad, Balochistan and all the other important provincial capitals across Pakistan. There is this unanimous point of view when it comes to Pakistan's defense that has been seen recently in the post-Pahalgam false flag operation, and how the nation stood united with a stance of defending our motherland. That is exactly why these tests were held in 1998. There's a very important historical significance of that, and you know all of this extremely well. Despite the pressures, Pakistan under Nawaz Sharif Saab, who was the then Prime Minister, conducted these tests, and of course it is still remembered as the day when the whole history of Pakistan changed. We've been joined by many interesting guests to discuss different aspects of this in the context of the recent developments, generally as well, this day as a symbol of Pakistan's unshakable sovereignty and our nation's sovereignty as well, and so many other important aspects to it as well. We've been joined by 3 guests in the studio and 1 guest online. Let me introduce my guests in the studio one by one. On my very right next to me is Khalid Banoori Saab. He's a DG Arms Control and Disarmament Affairs, former DG at the SBD. Thank you very much to have joined us, Khalid Banoori Saab. Then Anam Khan, who comes very regularly to our shows, and she is a nuclear studies expert. So I think today is an apt day for you. Must be very happy because there's so many questions that concern your domain. And of course, one of our guests that joins us after a very long hiatus, Brigadier Shahid Jagir Saab, Defence Analyst. Shahid Saab, pleasure to have you on board. And Air Commodore Khalid Chishti Saab joins us online. Chishti Saab, thank you very much to have joined us as well. We'll begin with Khalid Banoori Saab. Khalid Banoori Saab, Youm-e-Takbeer marks Pakistan's emergence as the first Muslim nuclear power. How do you assess the strategic message that was sent all those years back globally, particularly to India, to the West, the Muslim world at large, and how important is this message even today in 2025?
Okay, I think one should start with this, that for 24 years since India tested in 1974, Pakistan tried to keep nuclear weapons out of this region. Several steps, bilateral offers, multilateral efforts, saying for example to have a missile-free zone in South Asia, very initially, which is of course overtaken by time, an offer to simultaneously sign the NPT, and several steps. It was only when Pakistan saw that they are not going to budge and this strategic balance is going to get disturbed, and then reinforced by the 1998 tests that India did. Pakistan was very clear that the strategic balance has to be restored. You only have yourself as responsible to ensure the sovereignty of your own country. And that is a clear signal that went to India, that I'm on record on PTV saying don't mess with us. That's I said this in 2007, which has been said by several other people. I'm very amused to say that in the recent post-Pahalgam thing, even BJP put out a similar, using the same slogan. Now, that's, I said it several years ago.
Okay.
And the issue is that nuclear capability, once we got it, no one can, wish this away from here. But here's the catch, and I would want to end this one at this line, that Pakistan's two pillars of the nuclear policy are restraint and responsibility.
I think restraint and responsibility are keywords as well that Pakistan has shown time and again. It would not even have gone to the extent it did if India had not gone beyond and above and beyond what it did, and the way it attacked the different areas through its missiles and what not. Anam, Pakistan conducted its tests in a reaction to the Indians, conducting their nuclear tests as well. This timely response, how important a role did it play in restoring the strategic balance in South Asia and preventing future conventional or nuclear escalation?
Thank you for having me today. The most important aspect in this debate is that we know that India is a bigger power. We have conventional asymmetry with India, and the way Mr. Khalid Banouri also referred to how we tried to have dialogue with India even on nuclear issues. We were the ones to put forth the strategic restraint regime time and again on the table when India wasn't ready to even sign it or talk about it. But when in 1998 India did test its nuclear capability, that was a time when Pakistan realized that India is shifting the balance of power towards itself, and the strategic stability was under stress and in question. In Pakistan, it wasn't just the government, but it was also the civilian leadership, but the scientists at Pakistan Atomic Energy Commission, the military forces, all of Pakistani main elements of power came together and made a rational decision, get it done or always be submissive to India. So that was when we decided to test nuclear weapons in response to store the strategic balance in South Asia. If we had not done so, a lot of issues would have occurred. For instance, India, we already know, is a so-called net security provider, as termed by the US. But what India wants to do is to become a global hegemon, and to become that, first India wants to become a regional hegemon. And the only country that stops in its neighborhood India from doing so is Pakistan, because they cannot get up and decide what we have to do in an international arena, may it be international forums. So we were there to safeguard our sovereignty, and that is the first aspect. The national security and stability is the major component of such kinds of decisions. So we are really glad that back in 1998 Pakistan gave a responsible response to what India did.
Brigadier Shahi Jaggi, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto Saab once said Pakistan would eat grass if needed, but it must become a nuclear power. Despite external international pressure, and we know about in the historical context and threats of sanctions, Pakistan leadership in 1998 under Nawaz Sharif Saab chose national security over submission. On this National Day of Pride, how do you see the legacy of all those who contributed directly and indirectly to Pakistan's nuclear program, Pakistan's nuclear scientists, including in fortifying the country's sovereignty, especially at a time now when hybrid warfare, fifth generation threats continue to evolve?
Thank you very much. It's very important to see what the question you have posed. After the India went nuclear, and much before that, we never after partition have closed the eye from India, for the reason that India has not digested the division of the subcontinent and making of Pakistan. So India is evolving and a scarlet threat to Pakistan's security. And this fact has been in the mind of the leadership of Pakistan, whether it's political leadership, military leadership, are our scientists. So, after India went nuclear, it was very important for us, rather it was a decision to be made of survival, that we also gave a matching response. And in that, as you have said, the foundation stone was laid by great Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. I salute after that Jan Zia also, he was a contributor. Then was Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto, marhoom. Then comes the General Pervez Musharraf, President Zardari, Mr. Nawaz Sharif and his party, and most of all the scientists which have been there, those who have materialized this dream coming true, backed by the whole nation, you know, which financed it through its taxes. And let me tell you over here, there is no country has a wholly nuclear program. It is always a backed by steel basis, whether it is USA or the other countries of the world. So, there were many countless people, silent heroes I would say, which have made this dream come true. And inshallah, I am sure that in the time to come, we will never compromise on the hegemony of India in South Asia, and we will never, till the time that India does not change its attitude of coercive measures and coercing Pakistan, we will never stop taking it as our arch enemy. And that to happen, this development will keep on growing. And in the time to come, you will see that we will respond matchingly. Second thing is that I compliment the political and military leadership, the way they have exercised the restraint, professionalism, diplomatic maturity they have shown in this my incident between India and Pakistan. It has given a message to the world that we are a very responsible nation, we are a peace-loving nation, we are a mature nation, and we want peace in the South Asia.
True, and that is extremely important. Air Commodore Khalid Chishi Sahab, are you with us? All right. Okay, so we'll go to Banuri Sahab. Banuri Sahab, India pushes a militaristic narrative and arms race. Pakistan has continued to call for peace and strategic stability in South Asia, which was even evident this time. And Pakistan resorted to respond to Indian brutalities or Indian aggression as shown in the recent days post the false flag operation. How can Pakistan now amplify its voice as a responsible nuclear state in different global fora?
I think Pakistan has always displayed this restraint and responsibility as a thought. I have reflected during or post Balakot incident that at that time also peace was hanging by a thread, and Pakistan was holding that thread very, very firmly. Because despite several provocations which came, and you will recall that 2019, the Balakot incident, the way it happened, ostensibly was because of the Indian domestic reasons for the winning the elections and so forth. And we still we told them that a response will come if there is a provocation, if there is attack on our sovereignty. But yet we held on to the restraint to the maximum possible thing. And if you notice this time, a similar, in fact, a added pattern has happened. The Pakistan, actually had escalation control in the situation that occurred now. India went on a reckless, spree of using kinetic war in a situation where there are two nuclear weapon states with common borders and a very low strategic warning time. and we displayed our restraint as well. Showing it to the world is there are reflections that have come from neutral sources about this war as well, of how Pakistan has handled this situation, and we've received some reactions internationally as well. But the fact is that we need to continue to actually display this, and I'm so happy to note that this time, if you look at the Indian media and Pakistani media has given the truth very, very boldly, but haven't gone to their kind of level. So the world is noticing. The so-called dehyphenation has turned into the rehyphenation. I never believed that anyway, but rehyphenation is very, very existent. So several signals exist, and Pakistan continues to hold in the sense that when we have deterred, we do not escalate further. So we hold the control.
All right, all right. Before I go to Anam, we've been joined by Khalid Chishti Saab, Air Commodore Khalid Chishti Saab here, defense analyst. Chishti Saab, thank you very much to have joined us. It's a very important day for all of Pakistan, and I'm sure for all of the people in the forces specifically as well, because of the recent events that unfolded post the Pahalgam false flag operation. As the first Islamic nuclear power, Khalid Chishti Saab, what message does Pakistan's safe and responsible stewardship of its nuclear program send to the entire world and to those in particular who have doubted its capabilities?
Thank you, Mr. Umar, for having me. Absolutely, it's been 27 years that we became nuclear, and the world has witnessed that how responsible Pakistan has been. When we became nuclear, obviously India was all out to give a propaganda and create a perception against us that Pakistan is highly irresponsible country, is going to be an Islamic bomb, although such names were never given, whether it's a Christian bomb or a Jew bomb or whatever. But India tried to do that for a couple of years. But over the years, I think Khalid Banuri, my friend, is sitting and ask him how safe our nuclear processing, the setup, the infrastructure is probably one of the best rated. That's obviously what I can say through personal knowledge that I gained from my friends. Let it be clear. During this conflict, what we saw was that India was again out to prove that when the conventional war escalates, Pakistan probably will either use the threat of the nuclear weapons or come out with creating a perception that we're going to go nuclear anytime. But you saw that Pakistan not only went on with conventional weapons and escalated the war within the domains of remaining conventional, never talked about the nuclearization, never tried to monger about that we're going to drop some bombs. All nuclear warheads obviously were never ever mentioned in any of the talks this side of the border. But you must have seen that 900 channels that we see other side of the border. Half of them were obviously mongering and obviously yelling at each other. Probably I sometimes felt that they break through the screen and come and bomb Pakistan. But we played very mature in this regard, and obviously
That is so true.
That proves to the world that we have raised the conventional bar and further raise the nuclear bar, whatever, if the countries thought so, that we're going to go nuclear or at least threaten to use the nuclear. We never ever touched that bar. That shows the more of a majority, a sensible approach, and more statesman-like, obviously, the approach and the confidence that we showed to the world that we will still take on India while staying well within the conventional warfare.
That is so true, and things have been made more apparent in the wake of all these recent events that have happened post the Pahalgam false flag operation. Anam, in the light of recent conflicts, how has Pakistan's full spectrum deterrence doctrine evolved to address the emerging threats? What role does it play in maintaining regional peace? I have to ask these questions because they are so interrelated to this day.
Yes, definitely. Very important question. But we need to understand that there are two types of doctrine. One is conventional and one is nuclear, right? So if we're talking about right now nuclear doctrine, Pakistan has had credible minimum deterrence posture earlier, and even right now within the ambits of credible minimum deterrence, being credible, being minimum, and having enough deterrent to deter your adversary under the full spectrum deterrence, where you are able to counter Indian threats at operational, tactical and strategic levels. So even in these levels, Pakistan has remained credible, but in the minimalistic sense, because Pakistan has time and again said it even at international fora that we are not opting for any arms race with India. We're not interested in that. All Pakistan has been doing is reacting to what India has been acquiring as when it comes to nuclear weapon systems and types and delivery systems, and we have been responding to them qualitatively. And up till now, and even in the future, Pakistan is very much confident enough in its capability. Pakistan has restored deterrence time and again, although yes, there is this stability instability paradox where India tries to inflict little damage on the limited side under the broader spectrum of deterrence, under the broader spectrum of nuclear use, but that also has come to a surprise for India, because we have been even, they had this thought process of rational decision making where they thought that Pakistan has conventional asymmetry with us, Pakistan does not have enough better conventional power, so they would not be able to deter us, and we would be able to coerce them. But that did not happen. Pakistan has maintained even deterrence in conventional domain as well, which has surprised many in Pakistani quarters. And now we are very confident that we have a capability which we can use to deter India conventionally. But we need to understand that deterrence is preserved until the weapons are used. So Pakistan's nuclear doctrine is not a war fighting, unlike India's. What Pakistan has been time and again saying is that these weapons are of the last resort and these are political weapons. However, do not try to coerce us into doing things that we don't want to do. So overall, the deterrence has maintained from 1998 up till now. I would take another line here as well, that even before 1998 there was this concept of bomb in the basement, where you do not, even in 2001 2002, the capabilities which Pakistan had were not quite at that highest level of readiness, but at the same time Pakistan was able to deter India, and India did not exceed its 2001-2002 border standoff towards total war. So till now we have been averting war, and definitely nuclear war, because there are no winners in nuclear war, and that Pakistan understands, so Modi does not.
But that is why Pakistan is a responsible state, and unlike unfortunately India. I'll come to you, Brigadier Saab. I have a short question to ask you, Chishti Saab. With this increasing complexity of warfare, including cyber technology, drone technology that we've been seeing and we also saw recently, how is Pakistan adapting its deterrence strategies to address these multifaceted threats?
I'll answer you in two parts. The first part is the preparation part, and the other was the execution part, what we saw in the month of May, the beginning of May. You see, that gone are the times when the wars were fought, the air power was taken as just an airborne artillery. The difference between the air power that India is maintaining is still inspired by the Soviet philosophy or the doctrine, is that it's taken to be an extended version of the artillery, which is airborne. It gone are the times. Pakistan Air Force has not only inducted 19 different inductions into Pakistan Air Force, but integrated them so well. Cyber Command Force, Aerospace, J-10C, Block 3, J-17 Thunder, and many more. Surface-to-air weapons, HQ-9B missiles that we have, which is almost equivalent to S-400 that India has. We have many which were integrated. We have fought this war in the multi-domain operations, with a one-kill picture. The most important aspect in fighting today's air battle is that all the stakeholders who are flying, it could be NAVAX, airborne early warning, the jammers, the refuelers, the surface-to-air missile, the fighter jets, all should have one kill picture. When they have one kill picture, they need to be integrated. They need to have a network. And I'm pleased to share with you that Pakistan has developed its own network system in which all those airplanes, not only which are newly inducted, but the previous aeroplanes like F-16 and Mirages are also integrated through one network. So all who are taking part in our combat, they are very well clear on what's going on. Now coming to the deterrence part, what's the dynamics is. You see, on 30th, when we made 4 Rafale force land at Srinagar, obviously I kind of panic land them, and it was not a force land. They were created a feeling of insecurity and unsure about the success of the mission, and they force landed. And let me assure you that I can say with a lot of conviction that these were not the only 4 Rafales. That was a war deterrence mode. On 7th morning, when we shot down 6+1, Pakistan and particularly Pakistan Air Force was still working on war deterrence mode. We wanted to deter war. We wanted to send a message to Indian Air Force that if you continue the war, there will be a higher price coming up. With this is exactly what happened on 10th. On 10th, when and 8th and 9th, when the Indian continued to bomb and create or send in drones, Pakistan shows perseverance. But we saw on 9th night when they targeted 6 of our air bases, that was now the conclusion drawn by the PF authorities that now is the time we have to choose either to deter the war or to culminate the war and opt for an all-out war. And this is what I'm trying to share with you is the 10th morning what we bombed, the weaponage that we dropped on India was not with the war deterrence option. It was that either the war will get terminated here or will escalate into a full-fledged war. That is why I say the tonnage that we dropped on in 5 hours on 10th morning was more than 1965 or 17 days of war. This tonnage was more than that. The aim was not that we should give a calculated response. It was not a measured response, according to me. It was beyond measure. And the reason was that we wanted to take Indians one option, either go in for all out or be ready to be punished with this severity.
That is true, and thank you for giving us more detail as far as that is concerned. Brigadier Sir, Pakistan has demonstrated professionality in its military responses more or less since, in all kinds of conflicts. How does this approach reinforce its commitment to responsible deterrence, and how is all of this perceived internationally? That is also a very important point that I wanted your take on.
Look, if we see the events unfolding after India attacked Pakistan with missiles at Bawalpur and other places, all the events subsequently unfolding of that one aggression shows the maturity, the professionalism, the resolve, and not to take Indian hegemony into account, despite it being a economically bigger power and bigger landmass and all. This is of the manifestation of how we perceive India, where we want a peace in the South Asia, but peace not at the cost of disgrace, peace not at the cost of coercion by India, peace not at the cost of being degraded at every international forum, peace not at the cost of India pulling our leg on all the international forums like FATF and other things, and branding as a country sponsoring terrorism. We are still ready to talk with India on all issues, especially the core issue of Kashmir and other issues as well, but at the equality level.
That is very important, and that was also reiterated by our Prime Minister in his tour of the different countries where he went, especially in Iran. When I was listening to his address with the Iranian president, this is what he also said. It was more or less the same.
You must have noticed the tone and the posture and the words of Indian Prime Minister's speech yesterday in Gujarat.
I will come to that. Don't worry.
They have not learned a lesson, and till the time they change their attitude. And now, thank God, that we have started listening the voices from inside India, from very reputable writers, ex-foreign minister, of what Indian present leadership is doing. They are throwing their whole nation to the hell of war for their political gains.
I mean, Yashwant Sinha is just one of those many examples, and I wish I have time to talk about what he had to say about Pulwama and what he had to say about Pahalgam false flag operations and how they were all related to elections in India. You know, if it comes from him, it couldn't be more credible. Khalid Banoori Saab, considering the evolving security dynamics, we've heard all of our respected colleagues also talk about that. The security dynamics in South Asia that are changing now with kind of more or less maybe every couple of months. What measures should Pakistan now take post this late April-May conflict with India to strengthen its deterrence posture as well as prevent future escalation?
Okay, you know, it's a very, this is my favorite quote. The only thing which is constant in warfare is change. What happened in Balakot and what happened in this month are completely different. And the next war, by the way, the military success has happened, the military battle has occurred, but the war is still on because these are the bloody nose that India got is still swarming with wanting to find some kind of a reaction. So I would not be surprised if there's a repeat false flag at some point. Here is what we do. This is what we did in post Balakot, and here is what we do now. I'm very sure of this. This is how it works. After Balakot, when the Air Force had done what it had done, it continued to make an assessment of what happens next, how the threat will change, and we were prepared, meticulously trained hard for all those operationalizations. You heard Khalid Chishti Saab talking about how the complexity was handled. It doesn't happen very easily. The sheer timeliness of everything happening in quick succession, the integration, the synergy was amazing. This war that happened in this month of May, there will be lessons that the global militaries will continue to draw out of. And Pakistan thought about these complexities at that time and took all these decisions. Now we are already cautious of this, that the next war can be different. The Indians got surprised from some of the things that we did. There will be more surprises. We will do that. But it's a bigger war. The fifth generation continues. The media war. If you listen to the Indians, they destroyed Karachi and
Lahore and so many other areas
and found a sea in Lahore
places.
and so on and so forth. The rest of the world needs to be continuously told about this, and we are doing that part. Can I take the liberty to make one generic comment?
Please go ahead.
I want to talk about Alice in Wonderland.
All right. Is there any relation to today's?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, when India looks into the looking glass, the mirror, it thinks of itself as United States, as Israel, and it's not. What happens really is that big assumption falls down like, actually the bubble bursts. That is precisely what has happened. It thought that it would surprise Pakistan. It would, Pakistan will not know, the Air Force aeroplanes will not know where to go, and they completely got surprised. It's really, the Alice is startled now and would be more reckless in my view, and that is what we are cautious of, and we will continue to process.
And so many other surprises that will also come their way if they attempt any such misadventure as well. Anam, uranium theft in India are more or less interlinked. This is something that I really wanted to talk to you about and to others as well. But with over 18 documented nuclear theft incidents, we don't even know what the undocumented ones are, and massive quantities of uranium reportedly found outside secure zones in India, how can the international community still continue to trust India as a responsible nuclear state?
There's this concept of blind eye when it comes to issues related to such ventures by India. There are two basic reasons why the international community or the West is ready to shove all these issues under the carpet when it comes to nuclear safety and security incidents within India. Those two issues are: one, because India provides a nuclear military industrial complex to the West, it provides an industry. Two, the so-called counterweight to China for the US. But the second part is something that the US quarters, I said time and again, are realizing that India is not going to fight the US war with China when push comes to shove. So if we talk about the uranium incidents, since 1990s up till now, there have been tremendous amounts of uranium and different types of radioactive material that has been, taken by the police from these illegal black market that is at play within India. And also, even in the past, India was also the major customer, and it has been documented by different international think tanks, was a major customer of the international black market. That's how India also got its nuclear capability. Why am I saying it? Because it is actually officially documented. I've recently written on assessment of India's nuclear safety and security. Another important factor is, if you look at India's nuclear safety and security governance, their atomic regulatory board should be independent. It is not. That also creates a hindrance in trying to decide, for example, if there is a nuclear theft, people are caught, Indian citizens, then they do not know what to do with them, because the penalty cannot be decided by this board. So these are certain issues when it comes to what India is doing in this domain, and the international community, basically IAEA, the inspector officers who came to civilian nuclear facilities of India have time and again stated that yes, there are issues with nuclear safety and security, and India has to put its house in order. Because the issue with radiation is, if even a dirty bomb is used within India, the radiation does not follow borders. So the impact can come in its neighboring countries as well. So that is why it is high time that international community can coerce India. Why can they do it? Is because India is part of now the export control regimes. Through that, they can sort of create pressure on India to put brackets on its civilian as well as uncivilian nuclear program. And another important aspect here is that India has been, since 1974, diverting the civilian nuclear material for military purposes, which should not be the case, which is not allowed internationally. So then again, the West is turning a blind eye towards it, but till when? Why do they have to wait for a bigger incident to occur before they decide?
Shouldn't this be the tipping point for them, this very incident, that anything can happen when India continues to its warmongering and its jingoism, as evidenced, as Brigadier Sahab talked about in the address in Gujarat of Narendra Modi. He said exactly the same thing. He continues in the same vein.
And one more thing, that is very important to add here. The kind of warmongering that Modi is doing now, Modi is not ready to sit on the table, and the confidence building measures that we have with India in nuclear domain, we never know in the future Modi becomes so aggressive because Modi is not getting what he wants, and they get away with the non-attack on nuclear facilities agreement. What if Modi still decides to attack Pakistan in that domain? So it is high time to understand the Hindutva ideology and the extremism. We can call it, the Mad King's syndrome from Game of Thrones.
It is indeed the Mad King syndrome,
Anam,
but the fact is also that the world knows, and Pakistan is also ready for any such reaction from India. Khalid sir, just before I go to Brigadier sir, we wanted to add something to this.
Yes, thank you. Anam made some really brilliant points. I just want to add one aspect to it about radiation safety. The International Atomic Energy Agency has an illicit trafficking database, which is given information voluntarily. There have been thefts of cobalt-60, which is radioactive material in India, and like Jamshedpur and various areas. There are other similar reported simply because somebody wants to steal it and sells it as scrap. There have been reports in Europe, the escalator buttons used in Germany had radioactivity. They were traced back to an Indian origin. Their ladies' handbags, which were metal handbags, had radioactivity traced back to India. So several of those things are on record. And Anna made a reference to the the non-independence of their regulatory board. So true. I've had an opportunity to ask one of the former chairman of the Indian Atomic Energy Commission, Dr. Srinivasan, on why did they not have an independent board, and he made some noise by saying we are fine with what we have and something like that. There is a convention on nuclear safety. Pakistan is a member of that, and we did this and we set up an independent regulator, Pakistan Nuclear Regulatory Authority, takes its own decisions, can stop a nuclear power plant from working if it finds that certain safety certifications need to be upgraded. So, and it has done that in our older plants in Karachi. So, those are some of those ideas which tell you that there is a significant difference, and your question of why is it not being noticed, it's all on international record. It's just conveniently forgotten at that time.
Blind eye, and deaf ear, as they say.
Absolutely.
Brigadier Saab, isn't it time for Pakistan and other regional stakeholders to demand an international nuclear audit of Indian facilities, especially considering the ongoing militarization, the jingoism, the warmongering, as is evidenced by the recent comments by Modi as well, regional threats, weaponized posturing from New Delhi?
Absolutely. I would say that this is the need of the hour, that Indian should abide by all the rules, regulations, and of the IAEA. The IAEA should make an endeavor that in the light of these reports of mishandling of the nuclear material, they should carry out the on-site inspection of these. They should carry out the safety measures which they have taken. They should carry out the audit of that how this material is obtained, from where in the raw form, how it is processed. When processed, it is shrinked to how much of the amount, and then what is the disposal of that shrink material. If they want that this danger should not endanger the especially the South Asia and also the world, because that is the biggest and the alarming thing is that the Hindutva ideology, political leaders of India, they can go to any extent to see their dreams come true. And if there is some organized way of smuggling and
But you know,
obtaining the material, so you can understand that this can be dangerous not only for India.
This is dangerous, and this continues to be dangerous
for the whole of the world.
Exactly, as you say, as Anam said, that it does not recognize the nuclear outset, does not recognize boundaries. That is a very important point that she put. Last question to you, we're short of time. Khalid Chishti Saab, how does India's record of nuclear theft, we have to discuss it because we are Youm-e-Takbeer, radioactive negligence, institutional failure, damage efforts towards nuclear stability in South Asia. How should Pakistan recalibrate its deterrence posture in response to this irresponsible behavior?
Allow me to, because your panelists have very eloquently covered the nuclear proliferation. Let me add just 2 points about the recent conflict that we went through, about the Irresponsible Behavior Act of India, which you can merge with the nuclear aspect. You see, twice, 2 areas, in one in which they fired BrahMos on us. Pakistan Air Force officer, Air Marshal Aurangzeb said that we misguided, have misdirected the weapon. If that weapon happens to fall in Iran or Afghanistan, obviously, would Iran or Afghanistan ever think that this has been fired from India? They will always assume that Pakistan probably has fired a nuke or warhead, a serious warhead towards, could have destabilized the area. The other thing, most important thing is, at an average, 7 to 8,000 flights fly in and out of India every day. At any given time, there are about 350 to 450 flights in the air in India. You heard the Air Force officer, Air Marshal, saying that there were 57 civilian flights on that night. That is the seventh night, and there were 57 here. And let's take about 400 flights over there. So there were about 460 flights average, with average passenger carrying 300.
Justice Sahab, we understand, of course, the danger that was posed by India and the irresponsible attitude that was there and continues to be there vis-a-vis India. That is why on Youm-e-Takbeer it is even more important to tell the entire world on what needs to be done vis-a-vis India and its nuclear ambitions and its misadventures. Thank you very much to all of my guests. I'll begin with you, Khalid Shashi Saab. Thank you very much here in the studios. Khalid Banoori Saab, pleasure to have you here. Anam and Brigadier Shahi Jagir Saab. We had such a lot of questions, we couldn't give equal amount of time to all of you, but thank you very much to be here. My last statement will be in unison with what our Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif said. He hailed Pakistan's nuclear journey and called for renewed unity and determination to transform the country into an economic power. Let's pledge on this very day to do exactly that. Allah Hafiz.